Week 14 of the NFL season is here, and to kick off this week, it's actually right before fantasy football playoffs, or maybe week one of your seasonal fantasy leagues, if you made it. Maybe you didn't. Will shook his head no, so I don't know if he made too many leagues, but that's why we have action here on Fantasy Spin, so you can spin to win. No better time to join the fun, so make sure you stick around and catch all the insights you need for Thursday Night Football here on Fantasy Spin. I am Colby Conway. That's Will Tighe. Right on. I always get this wrong. You're over here on this way. The screen mirroring gets me every single time. To, I guess, my virtual, real life left, virtual right, just depending where we are, geographically here. But is Will Tighe. Find him over on X at Will Tighe FF, and the guy over at Fantasy Spin. You can also hear him a couple, once a week here on Sirius XM as well, talking Fantasy Spin, giving those insights that you need. So we had to bring Will here to break down Cowboys Lions. So Will, what intrigues you about this game? What players intrigue you? Wow. Basically, how do I win some coins here on Thursday Night Football?
That's a great question, Colby. I think the key to this game is going to be whether or not the Cowboys defense can really just continue to get pressure up front. That's been the key difference over the past couple of weeks for them and why their defense has been improving. The addition of Quinnen Williams, obviously massive. And so if they can keep doing that, then the Lions are going to have a really hard time, putting offense together. They did a good job against a tough Green Bay defense last Thursday. But, we'll see if they can do it again. So that's probably the thing that I think is going to swing this game the most.
Yeah, and there's a lot of players that I like, and there's hopefully some names that we'll get to talk about here. But we got 3 spins. We got 4 locks. We are looking to make magic happen, and I love what I see in the upper left with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. So, Will, I know you've done a couple of these shows before. I know you watch them as well. It's a staple. You already know what question I'm going to ask. When it comes to Thursday night games, we have one of 2 quarterbacks. This week, it happens to be Dak Prescott. It happens to be Jared Goff. Do you like one significantly more than the other that you say, hey, we only get 4 locks? There's the likes of George Pickens, Javonte Williams, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown at the time that we're recording this. Hey, I need to use a lock on Dak Prescott.
Yeah, so I think that in this context, the lineup that we just spun, I think it's a yes, because we can stack Dak with CeeDee Lamb. Mm-hmm. So I think everything being equal going into this, I wouldn't say you have to lock Dak in, but when you have the opportunity to stack him with CD, I think you got to take that.
And it could totally be, hey, I'm cool with either quarterback. I want my lineup to dictate it. So if on this first spin, if we would have flipped Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe it's, hey, let's hold off here and get Jared Goff and have the Detroit stack. But here we got CeeDee Lamb. Maybe now we're committed to a Dallas stack. And then looking at it here, these other guys on the board, the only one that's maybe a little interesting is Isaac Tesla down there at the bottom, but there's just so many other guys that I'd rather have that I think I'd push my luck here on another spin.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, good. I'm glad we didn't have to push and fight too much on that one there. So looking at it here, Malik Davis up in the running back spot. I think we're really hoping for Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, or Javonte Williams. We really want one of those two, not him. We do get Jake Ferguson down there. So do we add to the Dallas stack? What do you think?
I think, oh gosh, this is tough. So if we're looking for Gibbs and we're looking for Javonte as the other guys, and we're looking for Jameson, this is the main event. So we have to go for the big prize, but that doesn't necessarily always mean going for the big players, right? Jake Ferguson might be the kind of guy that's just sneaky enough in the middle where we can kind of differentiate our lineups enough, but also get a guy that's going to be in the mix for touchdowns.
Yeah, he's been good of late, and Detroit might not necessarily be bleeding fantasy points to the tight end position, but Ferguson clearly has a role on this team, so I'm going to lock him in there. And it's exactly what you said a couple of weeks back on I guess that would have been week 12, Thursday Night Football, Texans-Bills. I had a winning lineup that did really well, and I had Christian Kirk, and I'll admit it, I did not lock him in. I got stuck with Christian Kirk. I hated it at the moment that I spun, and hey, it happened to work out. Shout out the other guys for carrying the lineup and Christian Kirk for doing just enough for me there. But in this one here, I think as good as Dallas has been, and believe it or not, did you know that Dallas has allowed the fewest points to running backs over the last 4 weeks?
It makes sense. That makes sense. That defensive, like I said, the defensive front has changed the game for them. they're stout. Quentin Williams is one of the best defensive players in the league,
Now,
and so you get a guy like him on the team, it's going to change things.
to be fair, wide receivers, fifth most fantasy points allowed over the last 4 weeks, and quarterback, the second most. So there is definitely opportunities here. This is not the steel curtain. This is not the 85 Bears. It's still a below average Dallas defense, especially through the air, but they have been better of late. So we have one lock. Do you want to take it with us in the final one? Do you want to preserve David Montgomery, or are we saying, hey, we got to leave pretty much any spot open for the likes of George Pickens, Javonte Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, etc.?
I say you lock him in.
Lock in Montgomery? Okay.
Yeah, could you do me a favor, Colby, real quick? Could you go to the contest info section and then scroll down to see like what players are in the pool?
Yep. So as you're doing the spins, like Will said, if you go into contest info, not only can you see the payout breakdown. So as we're looking here, we're competing for 122,000 tokens here in this one. You get all the scoring, and then of course down at the bottom, wherever you have a position open, you can see the available players to us. So hey, if we lock in Montgomery, we have a 1 in 3 shot up at that running back at, well, 2 good players, and then Malik Davis, and then the flex. These are the likes that we're hoping for. So even if we lock in Monty, realistically, we have 2 chances, one of which is at a 66% clip to get Jahmyr Gibbs / Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I think that's the move. Because like looking at this flex, like I'm not trying to have Ryan Flournoy on my team. No offense, but I like the idea of having Montgomery.
I had a text exchange before the Thursday night or before the Thanksgiving Day games, and we were joking around of like locking in these lineups, and he was like, "Yeah, the last thing you want is rooting for a Ryan Flournoy touchdown." And then an hour later, I texted him and said, "Okay, I am rooting for that Ryan Flournoy touchdown now."
And then it happened.
I got stuck with him. Yeah, it was great. I mean, hey, I will never complain when he scores, and that's what I
want. Nice. All right.
And we did get Jahmyr Gibbs in there, so that is not too shabby of a lineup there for the main event. Right now, projected finish 36, and who knows? Kennedy popped off a little bit last week, getting some targets out of nowhere once St. Brown left that game injured. So I don't necessarily hate that lineup. And looking at this here, maybe Detroit gets ahead with Gibbs and Montgomery, and then we have Dallas needing to throw to catch up, and that plays right into CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson.
I love it.
So let's return home here. Going to navigate over to the NFL. And before we do, we're going to do an entry into winner take all, because obviously when you get to winner take all, there's only one person getting paid out in that one. So we are going for the elite of the elite lineup, or we're just saying, hey, we believe player X is going to be our difference maker. No one else is going to lock him in. We're going to ride him to the top. But since we've had you on the last time, well, a lot of exciting things happening over at FantasySpin. We have the differentiation now between arcade mode and playing for cash. So depending on if you're a state you play for cash, play for cash. If you're in a state that can't, you can play for tokens, play for free, and still have all the fun of spinning to win. And then obviously when we come to the lineups page as well, this was one of my favorite things. I've been clamoring for it for a little bit, so glad to hear that it was received. But when you are looking at lineups, I'll go to my settle because I have more. It is now broken down by date. And I can scroll through here, and there's no more doing a mass scroll and saying, man, is that week 6? Is that week 8? Where am I? What week is this? Or if you're like me and you have a ton of lineups going on any given day, where are my Thursday lineups? Where are my Sunday lineups and everything like that? So I'll tell you, those are some of my favorite additions. Then also, like I mentioned earlier, can also catch that beautiful voice of Will Tighe right over here. Nope. Here. Right over here on SiriusXM with the Fantasy Alarm guys, Howard Bender, Jim Bowden, Andrew Cooper as well. So those, Will, I kind of talked about some of the things there that I'm excited about, some new features that happen. Anything else that you kind of want to highlight on the Fantasy Spin side?
Yeah, I'll just say, we're building what the people want. So like you said, you've been asking for this. We built it. So if anybody has things, ideas that they want us to build, just let us know in the feedback section. Could you go to the feedback section real quick, Colby, just to show the people how it's done?
Yep. So you're going to come to account, and then right there is going to be send feedback. And then if you click on that, that is where you can type your novel, like I have done many a times. Of any thoughts you have, throw them in there. Do what I've done. There's that little microphone in the corner. You want a voice to text it just to get the voice in there and let in this case, I'm an iPhone user, shout out iPhones, just let it dictate there. I'll go in there and edit, but I'm not typing out these 2 paragraphs of thing I have of like, I want my lineup screen. I want to be able to differentiate the dates, all of the exciting stuff like that. Send the feedback in. As you can see, the team is receptive and looking forward to that feedback so that they can make those updates. And shameless plug, do your daily trivia, folks. Don't leave 1,000 tokens on the table every single day. Get in there and do the trivia. Now, Will, I think there's also something we were going to talk about here. If you're someone like me who I'm spinning my lineups, I'm going from lineup to lineup, and then maybe I want to come back and, oh crap, I didn't do like a pick'em entry. Is there? I'm guessing there's a way now to maybe potentially do it a little bit easier than before.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Pick'em is one of my favorite games to play. It's just adds that little extra bit of excitement to the games. And so now you can access it in a much easier way, which is exciting. So if you go and click on your contest module there, and then go over and find your team, you'll click there, and then you'll see a add Pick'em button. So if you click into that, you'll see the play Pick'em button. So if you click into there, you'll be brought right to the Pick'em page.
And there you go. You're right back into it. Just much easier than before. And of course, that's if you forgot to do it, as like we went right past it. I was so excited to talk about the dates on the lineup screen in Cash versus Arcade mode that I totally jumped over the pick'em there. But once again, before we do this pick'em, do make sure if you have a SiriusXM membership, do listen to Will on the Fantasy Alarm Show with Howard Bender, Jim Bowden, Andrew Cooper, depending on who's there. And make sure you're tuning in. Maybe not just Thursdays anymore. Don't want to say anything. Don't want to let the cat out of the bag. If Will wants to, you can let the cat out of the bag. That's fine. But might be more opportunity to hear that voice of Will's on the XM airwaves here shortly.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a beautiful voice, but it's one you're going to hear. Really excited to keep doing more stuff with Fantasy Alarm. So we're hosting contests with them every week throughout the rest of the NFL season. And basically, you can go in and compete against your favorite Fantasy Alarm personalities, Colby being one of them,
Yep.
Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper, Jim Bowden. The whole gang is playing on FantasySpin. John and Pemba is going to be doing some NBA stuff. It's really exciting to play FantasySpin on its own. Right. But what's more exciting is playing it with people what I mean? And getting to compete against your friends and compete against the people that you listen to. And so really excited to keep doing that stuff with Fantasy Alarm. And yeah, you're going to hear more from us. We're just continuing to grow bit by bit. And, everybody here who's listening to the show is part of it at such an early stage. It's like really cool to, be along for the ride.
Absolutely. You can join those contests. There's nothing better than beating Howard Bender in anything, but especially a Fantasy Spin contest. And I will say I am in those contests as well, but I will not be taking it easy on you folks. No free handouts for me. I am in there. I am spinning to win. So you will see me hopefully at the top of most leaderboard. That's where I like to try to finish, as just like everybody else in the contest pool. But I digress. So Will, let's jump back into breaking down Detroit, Dallas. So obviously that lineup we just did. Let's talk about a pick'em here. What's one or two of the ones on the screen here of the players that you are most confident in exceeding their projected fantasy point total?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kennedy's super interesting. Like we're full PPR here, right? So I mean, that's 3 catches for 25 yards, and you're there. It's a little bit difficult for me to get behind Gibbs at 23.3. Like that's a big number. So I kind of try to go for the smaller point projections that you have to eclipse. So he's somebody that I think is super interesting for this. And it's going to be fun because you just need, like I said, like 2 catches. You could be down in the 4th quarter. Kennedy could have a goose egg, but you're still alive. So that's kind of why I like it.
Yeah, and looking last week too, St. Brown went out. Kennedy steps in, plays 65% of the snaps, goes 4 for 36. Quick math, that's 7.6. That exceeds that. So all we got to do is get that from him. I'm going right to Dak and CeeDee Lamb. I like throwing on Detroit. Secondary is banged up, so let's just go right for the studs. Let's do. I'm going to leave Ferguson out. Let's do 1,000 tokens there to win 5,000. Try to 5 XR tokens there. So that's our entry into the main event. The arcade mode main event. So Will, let's do one more. Let's shift our gears a little bit here though to a winner take all style contest. So this one, I believe I saw it's 50 entries. We got to finish first out of 50 people here if we want to take home some tokens here. So as someone who spins for tokens quite often, such as yourself and me as well, looking at it here, we obviously want the elite players. And obviously, there's going to be a world. We sure did. And there's going to be a world where, like, if we get Gibbs and Lamb, we're locking them in. If we get Pickens, we're locking them in. It's going to be really interesting to see as we go along here who's going to be that one guy that we kind of key in on to be our differentiator. Like, hey, if everyone's going to lock in Gibbs, everyone's going to lock in Lamb, everyone's going to lock in Pickens, where do we separate from the pack? Are any of those differentiators in your mind on the board for us on spin number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say like Tim Kennedy, or I don't even know his first name. Is it Tim Kennedy?
Tom.
Tom Kennedy. Sorry,
I like
Tom.
Tim though.
Yeah,
Tom Kennedy.
Tom Kennedy. Yeah,
Yep.
like I'm not going to sit here and say Tom Kennedy is going to score 2 touchdowns, right? But like to your point, he was what 66% of the snaps. You said
65% of the snaps.
Yeah, after Amon-Ra went out, so like that's a guy that's going to be on the field and like at least have the chance, and that's what you're looking for with these kind of home run plays is like who's going to have a chance to take advantage of a matchup and of a blown coverage.
Yeah.
Tesla is definitely another one that's going to be on the field, and he's super interesting from that perspective as well. I almost wonder if he's almost like too hot of a name, that like everybody's going to be zigging with Tesla.
Yeah. Yep. They certainly could. Now, in this one, we locked in Gibbs, we lock in Lamb. Do we lock in Dak or do we maybe wait one more spin? Because obviously we know it's a 50-50 shot. We're getting Goff, we're getting Dak. And when you look at this matchup, like I got the fantasy points pulled up over here. Over the last 4 weeks, Dallas has allowed the second most to quarterback. So that's good for Jared Goff. Detroit's third. So in terms of matchup, I don't necessarily know we're gaining really anything here. So we could do one more spin. And if we get Jameson Williams and Goff, maybe we go that way. If we get Pickens, Ferguson, and Prescott, maybe we go the Cowboys route from there. So if it were up to me, I say we just kind of leave the quarterback spot open, spin again, and maybe see how spin number 2, if that can help make a difference or make the choice easier for us on our lineup.
I like the way you think, my friend.
All right, let's do that. We're going to leave that unlocked. We're going to go with those 2. So we get Dak, we get Tim Tom again, and we get Ferguson. So I don't really know if we got the separator there, but I think.
Are we going to have the same lineup as last?
I mean, maybe people are afraid because Detroit has been relatively good. 6th fewest fantasy points to tight ends over the last 4 weeks. Maybe people are scared to play Jake Ferguson. And if you look, he's been solid. But maybe for a winner-take-all contest, maybe people are like, hey, I can't just get 11.6 points from Jake Ferguson. I need something more. But we could say, let's lock in Ferguson and Prescott, have the Dallas stack. We got Jahmyr Gibbs, and then we're spinning for a dedicated wide receiver spot. Still have George Pickens and Jameson Williams on the board, or a flex spot. We realistically have 2 shots at those 2, as well as like the likes of Javonte Williams if we can get him in the flex. So that's where I kind of lean. I know I locked in those 2, but I can easily unlock these players if you're not in the same boat as I.
I'm feeling it. I like it.
All right, easy enough. So we're going to go on to our final spin, but I'm going to play a little heartbeat, fast heartbeat there because our hearts are pounding as we go into this final spin. And we get Kevontae Turpin and Isaac Tesla in the last 2 spots. So, sometimes you might have the idea of who's your difference maker. Sometimes FantasySpin will tell you who you think your difference maker is. And in this case, it's Kevontae Turpin and Isaac Tesla. Those are going to be the ones that we hinge our winner-take-all hopes on here for the Thursday night game. Looking at this lineup, obviously, we love Prescott. We love Gibbs. We love CeeDee Lamb. What do you think about the other 3 in our lineup? Say no more.
Yeah.
I see what's happening there. It's how do I come up with nice things to say about these players when I'm not really optimistic about it, but I need to say something relatively positive.
You nailed it.
That's it. Punt return from Kevontae Turpin, cheap touchdown from Jake Ferguson. And if Amon-Ra doesn't play, there's more snaps for Isaac Tesla and hope for the best.
Yeah. I think they're interesting from a pick'em perspective, because again, those are low totals.
Yep.
So, depending on how much you wanted to enter, with your tokens, you could do multiple entries where you key in on that Dak Lamb stack. And then you could just pair them with, various combinations of Kevontae Turpins and Jake Ferguson's, so like you could potentially kind of scatter some shots that way and then see if anything comes to fruition for you.
Watch this.
Oh boy.
Whoa! I saw on the leaderboard, I think it was hockey. Someone went 8 for 8 on an NHL slip. So it can be done. The floodgates are open now. The floodgates are open. Now that it happened, I'm in. So we're going to go for a 35x here with 6 for 6 in pick'ems right there. So that way, if we don't get the winner take all, well, I guess if all 6 hit, we're probably going to do pretty well for the winner take all, but maybe not. But if not, we're going to double dip there with the pick'em entry.
Jackpot.
Right there. That's what we love to see. So we got everything you need to know for that Thursday night game, Detroit and the Dallas Cowboys. So Will, as we wrap up this show here, any parting thoughts for the crowd out there? Anything that you want to highlight before we sign off and head into week 14?
Yeah. Again, not to beat a dead horse or beat a horse to death. Not that anybody wants to see anybody do
Mm.
that, but please send us your feedback.
Mhm.
Like that, I can't say it enough. We want to build what the people want, and it's very easy to send your feedback. It's very easy for us to read it, so there's no reason why it shouldn't happen. I just have to, be annoying about it, but that's kind of my job. So please do send us your feedback. Let me know, like, if you want to see certain contest types, like more 1v1s or different prize pool, like whatever. Like, let us know. That's how this stuff comes to life. So that would be my parting message.
Absolutely. And over on X at Will Tie FF, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm not on
T-
there that much. I'm not on there
yeah,
that much, but
that's
you can
fine.
still hit me
You're
there.
on there though, and
Yeah.
that's all that matters. You can find me on X at Colby R. Comment. And seriously, no better time to get in on the action over on Fantasy Spin. It's the newest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. I know we're highlighting football here, but there's basketball, there's college basketball, college football, hockey. There's even golf contests on the app.
Mhm.
So there is something for everyone. So again, no better time to join the fun. So make sure you head on over to Google Play or the Apple App Store and download the Fantasy Spin app so you can spin to win. And we will see you on the leaderboard. What's up, y'all? Hope you enjoyed the content. For the avoidance of doubt, please note that I, Colby Conway, am a DFS player entering these contests under the username Colby Conway. The strategies and recommendations in this video do not necessarily reflect the views of Fantasy Spin. Please play responsibly and visit fantasyspin.com/responsible gaming to take advantage of Fantasy Spin's responsible gaming resources.